All right.
Nope, it's recording now.
So we have completed all of the peer reviews. I just forgot to press record. Anybody else got anything to say?
Just do them again.
Okay. Well,
Straight to the point.
Okay, you guys want to just do it again? We did it 17 minutes. You want to do it? Let's do one, because we've done all of them. Let's just do one, just to make sure that Dr. Stedman, we did all of them. So go ahead, Matt. Go ahead and start, please.
Yep, since I've got it up here. All right, for Keisha Lewis, I have for the content area, you use the EOC, EOG, ACT, and EVOS to conduct research instead of selling on one set of data. You're very thorough on that. Describe data collection strategies and criteria thoroughly. You analyze data to determine the need, which is what we were expected to do according to the task. For rubric strength, you clearly followed the rubric guidelines while developing the narrative. And like I said before, it was like you had the rubric right there beside you, checking off every single box in the rubric. So it was followed really well. Rubric weaknesses, I did not see any perceived weaknesses as far as the rubric. You followed it to a T. Leadership effectively led the PLC and data analysis to conclude with a pressing need, which was what we were supposed to be doing. But yours was very clear and concise, to the point. And then you showed I feel you showed strong leadership by delegating roles and demonstrating strong knowledge in the process. And as I said before, it's clear that this is a strong point for you, and I hope to be to that point sometime in the future.
Okay, I'll do Keisha's since I have it right here. Okay, with the content, she was completely aligned with what the asking or the peer review feedback is asking. Her data supported her decision. She identified exactly what steps were going to be next, and also identified the steps that the PLC was going to be taking as it relates to students' academics and their growth. The rubric strength, the area of strength was her confidence and her knowledge of the information that she was presenting. I found no weaknesses. The candidate provided all components to meet the rubric's requirements. Leadership, there is definitely an obvious demonstration of leadership as the candidate communicates the data analysis to her team. Also, the candidate shares information with the student concerning proficiency. Okay.
All right, I can go ahead and do Matt. Matt, content is very well developed. Decisions made in the team meeting was research-based and dependent upon unpacking data. Collaboration was fostered through analysis of the data. Rubric strength, data is graphically represented in the form of graphs. The candidate described data collection strategies from EVOS. Rubric weakness, data is graphically represented but could be more vivid for the reader. The narrative could be developed to support the charts and graphs. And leadership, the candidate led the professional learning community by researching EVOS and showing the team how this database is helpful.
Next.
All right, I'm going to read Faith's. For content, the task content is aligned with course content, and I would suggest giving a more in-depth explanation of the data used. For example, what are SC Ready and MAP testing? And I also put on there, what specific information did you gain from the school renewal plan? The rubric strength, the candidate explained the data collection process. I would suggest, again, explaining SC Ready and MAP. Rubric weakness, the only weakness that I noticed was there was only one table in the narrative, and I suggest adding more tables, charts, and graphs because Dr. Lamb always mentions that, and also to add some type of graph as a visual representation. Leadership is demonstrated throughout your data collection process, and I put in here that I love the fact that you met with each teacher individually to discuss their scores and get feedback from them regarding their thoughts on why their students progressed or didn't progress.
Okay. Next, anybody else?
Someone needs to read one for me.
Okay, I can definitely do that. All right. So with Savonja, the candidate narrative is aligned with the content, the course content, and is clearly identified. She clearly identifies the sources that will be used to support her decision. The awareness of academic needs in the area of math was expressed in a clear and concise manner, which provided adequate evidence that the stages that are being pursued are necessary in meeting the students' needs, sixth graders of Crossroad immediately. The narrative for the rubric strength, the narrative identifies strengths in the section of the members. They are identified as experts in their area of academics. The candidate supports her statement as she shares a short history of each member. The area of rubric weakness, this area where weakness, there were no weakness found in, hold on. Area of the text where weakness is apparent was found in the actual PLC meeting. Although the candidate clearly identified the steps that would be taken in the beginning of the narrative, it was here in the meeting that there was no identifiable process. The purpose was mentioned, but the explanation in the section was not given. All right, so the last thing is leadership. The demonstration of leadership was obvious in the selection of the PLC members and the desegregation of data to identify the needs of the student. All right.
Thank you.
And anyone else can read. I mean, hey, we got a little time. If you want to go back into that and just make sure you cover them.
Are there requirements for us to have two read on here? Okay, so we can go ahead back and I can read Solange's.
Okay.
Content is developed logically. For content, the candidate fully explained assessment data that would be analyzed. The candidate fully explained the criteria that students need to meet according to standardized assessment cut scores. Rubric strength, the candidate supported the narrative with graphs. The candidate described data collection strategies from NWEA MAP and SC Ready. Rubric weaknesses, data is graphically represented but could be enlarged for the reader, and I put SC Ready in parentheses. The candidate may want to express in the narrative how she led the professional learning community with data analysis, and that was just mentioning some of the dialogue. In leadership, the candidate led the professional learning community by fostering a community of collaboration with analyzing data.
Thank you.
Do we still have some time?
So someone else can go. I'm going to pull up Matt's in just a second.
Okay, I'll go ahead and read Faith's. Regarding content, the candidate used an array of data collection strategies in determining the most pressing need. Data is graphically represented in task 2. There is evidence of data-driven PLCs. There's also a thorough analysis with feasible and attainable goals. There's high evidence of knowing influencing the doing. Regarding rubric strength, the most pressing need identified clearly through data-driven methods, feasible goal setting. There is personalized instructional coaching. There are biweekly formative assessment checks to analyze student progress. There's an accomplished record of data collection strategies, determining the most pressing need, and conducting data-driven PLCs. Rubric weaknesses in prompt 2, I think we could elaborate on a narrative for the graphs and graphic organizers. And leadership, the candidate analyzed and discussed the data with the PLC. The candidate created diagrams based on data from the previous school year. And lastly, the candidate coached instructors individually based on their own performance data and guided them through the reflective and modification process.
Okay.
All right, I'll read Matt's. Again, Matt, I know you weren't finished with yours, but I have for the content that your content was aligned with the course content, and the proof that the knowing influences the doing was evident. Your rubric strength, it's obvious that you took a great deal of time with the data collection process. The content that you provided is valuable, and I will work on sentence structure and organizing your thoughts. Rubric weakness, the main area of weakness was sentence structure and formatting. And again, I made a copy of your actual task 2 and made comments there and shared that with you. The narratives for your graphs were not complete, but I'm confident that you will finish this section. And I would also suggest enlarging all of your graphs. And then for leadership, your leadership is demonstrated throughout the narrative. The candidate took the initiative to figure out how EVAS works and was able to demonstrate his knowledge to the PLC.
Excellent. Samaj, I'll go ahead and read yours.
Okay.
Okay. So for content area, we have the candidate used data to determine a need, which aligns with the task description. describe the data collection and presentation process. I think you did that really well. Rubric strength, you described data collection strategies and criteria just as presented above, but specifically used SC Ready, MAP, ELA to support your research and criteria rather than settling on one or two different areas of data. And then for our rubric weaknesses, I didn't see any weaknesses. You used the rubric to create your narrative, which is what we're supposed to be doing. Leadership, candidate led the PLC to analyze data and develop a need, which was to provide assistance to regular education students who scored below the 30th percentile on the 2018 spring math map. So I felt like that was very, very specific, and you know exactly where you're going with your PLC. And it was very easy read and not much, very much in depth.
Thank you.
All right, Samanja. Let me make sure I pronounced your name right. Samanja.
Samanja, yes.
All right, Samanja. All right, so the reason why the first peer review sounded so familiar to me, because it was the first peer review.
Was it from task 1?
Yes. So, I had to go make sure. So,
I was trying to pull that up while we were talking, but I couldn't get to it. That's fine. I think we have time.
It sounds too familiar to me. But anyway, I'm going to go through this really quickly. And yeah. So in the content, the PLC knew the exact needs of the students. You identified that and you strategized and collaborated with them and made sure that you found the data to address the students and the teachers' needs, which was, that's definitely important. Not just the students, but the teachers. The strength, you showed an ability to identify the needs of the 6th grade students that were struggling in math and base your SC readiness data on that. After looking closely, I didn't find any weaknesses in the text. One thing about the leadership, I didn't see any delegation. So you guided the PLC team awesomely, and then you also collaborated with them awesome, but you didn't give any, because one of the things that it asked to do was to delegate duties to your PLC members. So I didn't see that in the paper. So basically that's it. But everything else is, like everyone has said, I'll repeat, awesome. Awesome. You guys write like principals. You write like administrators already. I know Keisha's already doing a lot of that, but when I read your stuff, I'm like, oh my God, they got it. So you guys must be doing stuff like that and have been doing things like that for a long time. I have not. So it is really exciting for me. It really is exciting reading the papers and also actually doing this. So it seems like you guys are really, you're familiar with it. It seems like it's easy.
Right.
It seems easy for you. So one day, Matt, how did you enjoy your clinical hours Friday?
It wasn't what I expected. I learned a couple of things, then I just got stuck on a gate to watch a gate. So, but I get to do the exact same thing next week on Friday with our crosstown rivals. So I want to be able to meet on Friday for this because we have to meet early for that. So
we gotta figure out something.
Heads up, yeah.
Okay. So check this out. Make sure, because I'm taking notice, it is so easy to do the crowd control and it's so easy to do monitoring and supervision, but we can only have 10% of that in our clinical hours.
Mm-hmm.
You can have that all day, every day. It is easy to get that. So hopefully you don't have a problem with your principal, like sitting in on like suspensions and things like that. Sit in on it. And even your conversations, when y'all have conversations with each other about what you're going to do, time it. Yeah. And write it down. Everything. I'm learning this week, everything you do with him. Count it.
Yep.
Count it.
That's good suggestions. Good suggestion. So you want to stop recording?
Well, are we going to discuss our meeting dates now?
Yeah.
Unless you have something else to add.
No. I don't think it's a problem that we record that, but it doesn't matter. You can stop recording and then we can discuss it. We've got about 5 minutes.
Okay, let's go.